Hello. Good Sunday evening. Hey, Claire. So this was not a scheduled live. Hey, Steph. Hey, Amber. This isn't scheduled. This is, hey, Dottie. This is going to be really quick. I actually have hair dye sitting on my head right now. So, yeah, I'm fine. So this is just going to be a quick live. I just have kind of felt a little bit bad because I've not had any content for you guys and didn't do as many lives as I typically do on the weekend. So my husband left the house for something for a little bit, and I figured I would hop on here and hang out with you guys while the hair dye sets in. So I've got about 20-ish minutes. And I'm in a different area, as you guys can see. This was super impromptu. And if anybody watches the playback, I'm sorry I moved the camera out of way over here. I had something that could have been bad if it was seen, so I had to move it. I didn't know it would be in camera view. How's everybody's weekend been? Hey, Lisa. Did anyone do anything super exciting? Awesome. Great job. Hey, Della. So I'm sure the lighting and everything in here isn't the best. I hope that's okay with you guys. Pretty good weekend, nothing exciting. Last weekend you went on a ghost hunt. Ooh. I'm too much of a scaredy cat. I don't know if you guys know, but I actually have 2 videos on my channel talking about when we lived in a haunted house. So I'm really weird about going to like paranormal things because I've experienced it before. So I'm always worried something might follow me home or something like that. I'm sorry to hear that, Steph. I hope maybe chatting with us for a little bit will help brighten your day. You cried. And your sister, yeah, I would be like your sister. This is hair dye. Sorry. I would probably end up having an accident. And I would probably just be all kinds of emotions. You like the paranormal? See, I like the paranormal. I like scary movies. I like watching people telling their experiences, TV shows. But as far as like subjecting myself to go to like a legitimate haunted location, it scares me. So I don't know if I would be able to handle any like a real ghost hunt or anything like that. I just can't. I know what it felt like just those few months of living somewhere that appeared and felt to be haunted, how it would be to go somewhere, voluntarily going somewhere where I know something could follow me home. That just terrifies me. You have a friend that can't hear or see anything scary. Yeah, I think there's quite a few people like that. I know people in my life who do not deal with scary movies well at all. See, that creeps me out, Claire. Claire, good for you for being able to stick through it. There was a lot of stuff going on. If you guys are interested in that kind of stuff and you haven't seen those videos, they're from older, like I filmed them several months ago, so it's not the best quality. But if you're interested in my story, and then I linked in those videos like the actual, because we had a friend who did an EVP. One, you get to see what I looked like 10 years ago. I look very different now. And and us going through that process. Hey, Sloan, I saw that you were moving. That's why I haven't reached out to you. I know how stressful that is. I was kind of waiting to see once you settled to check on you. I hope it's going well. If you lived anywhere near me, I'd offer to help, but I'm pretty sure we don't live close at all to each other. I know the pain of moving. Sorry if you can hear my dog snoring. Do I like true crime? I like to watch true crime. Yeah. One of my favorite TV shows or like channels to watch is ID. I don't have normal cable, but we have Hulu. In parts of Hulu, you can go to certain channels that I guess are in network with them, and ID is one, so that's what I watch. Yeah. We don't typically have company over to our house, but my husband has something for work going on in our area, so a lot of people who aren't usually in town are in town right now, and we had a lot of people over, so they got overstimulated, and as you can tell, whiskey blends in with our couch, but he's right there and Paisley's right there. They're both they're out for the evening. Well, that's interesting stuff. Yeah, that people who are sensitive to the paranormal it depends on how that individual feels about it. Is my personal take. Like they might take it as it being a gift and they might take it as being a curse. I think it just depends on the individual and their level of interest to that. I'm trying to think, what is that show called? I can't remember. If I can remember it, I'll talk about it. You have those videos saved in your playlist? Yeah, they're not very long videos. Like well, maybe they were like 30 minutes each. But if you go and you listen to the linked videos, those are quite a bit longer, if I recall correctly. Yeah, they're pretty worn out. You get your kitten in 2 weeks. Do you know what kind of kitten you're getting? Hey, Pat, how are you? Yeah, I don't have any, I don't think I'm sensitive to anything like that. I have people in my family who I think are. You have to sage monthly. Yeah. Hey, Karma Kid. You're from the UK and have had many experiences with the paranormal. And I kind of wonder if people have more experiences with the paranormal than we even realize. Because, some people, if you don't believe in it and you hear something or you feel something or something maybe touches you, you may not think anything of it if you don't believe in those things. It's just a tabby cat. Oh, well, don't say he's just a tabby cat. He's going to be yours now. How old is he? Not just, exactly. Could you stop snoring? That's all I can hear is him snoring in my ear. So I don't know if you guys can hear. Not like a Scottish Fold or a Maine Coon. 6 weeks. Is that pretty young? That's pretty young, right? Can you take kittens earlier than you can take dogs? And that's just a legitimate question. I know you're not supposed to take dogs until they're 8 weeks. 6 to 8, they can go. Okay. Well, I'm sure you have looked up on how to care for him if they're on the lower range. And if you haven't, that would be my advice, is just to make sure you have all the appropriate things to care for him. Make sure that he or she can thrive and be healthy. Nope. Don't know what you're saying no to, Karma Kid. I don't know if I've missed something. Yeah, I know quite a bit about animals and their care because of working in a pet store. I worked in a pet store for a couple of years when I was younger. So, yeah. You have to? Yeah. Why'd you get up if you were just going to lay back down? Silly dog. Yeah. Carmen, can I understand what you're saying? I think that for general, most vets and things like that will tell you 8 weeks just to make sure that the infant animal is fully capable of living on their own and has all of the nutrients that they need from their mother. Hey, Amber, how are you? Don't have too much longer. My head is starting to itch. I know it's getting close to time. So I'm hoping, for those who are just coming in, this isn't going to be a long live. This is just a quick live while my hair dye sets in. I had just felt a little bit bad because I haven't had any pre-recorded videos for you guys this weekend, and I really didn't go live like I typically do over the weekend. I had a lot of busy adulting stuff to do over this weekend, so I didn't have as much time. So I wanted to get on here and chat with you guys a little bit and just catch up, let you guys know I'm still here and content is coming. It's just taking a little bit longer than I had anticipated. 8 to 10 weeks is ideal. Yeah. You don't want issues with litter boxes, etc. Yeah, no, I understand what you're coming from, and that's why I clarified. I thought, like, I was remembering 8 weeks. However, Claire says she has the education, so I'm sure the little kitten that she gets will thrive, and she'll know how to take care of him appropriate. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Amber. Yeah, they're tired. They've had an eventful day for them. So I know I've talked to you guys a little bit about a couple of videos I have planned to be coming up this week. Is there any content that you guys want from me that I haven't talked about yet? It's been 6 to 8 weeks, depending. Yeah, Claire, I don't think anybody's trying to. I think it's more for, to be sure misinformation doesn't go out to anybody who may pop into the live or who may not know who listens, just to make sure that they are aware. Typically it's 8. However, I mean, I'm sure we all have seen the Facebook, or I primarily see them on Facebook. The Dodo, is that the page that does it? They always advertise like an animal who's been in a bad situation, and how whoever rescues them or finds them can bring them back to a healthy, happy life. Yeah, Steph, I will include that in the poll. Those are for open discussions. That's a little bit different. I mean more for like my pre-recorded videos. Does anybody have any areas or situations that I haven't mentioned I was going to talk about? Like, I'm going to do an update on the Stoffers. I was getting ready to sit down and film it, and then I saw Josh posted another video. So I want to make sure I have as much up-to-date information before I film mine. So I ended up not filming it. And I haven't had a whole lot of time to watch YouTube this weekend. So I'm hoping to get a little bit of that in after I rinse my hair out and everything. So I can work on that for you guys. Love all animals. Wildlife rescue for 35 years. That's awesome. I never worked for a wildlife rescue. I worked in a zoo for a few years, but not with the animals. I worked on the human side of things. Oh man. I've got this hair dye all over my arms, I just noted. Yeah, I know James hit 1 million subs. I know that's part of what's going on. I agree. He does need to be stopped. I don't want, like, Josh and Sloan and even Britt, they are a lot better at maintaining, keeping up with the story than I am. I kind of have been, especially with the Stoffers, I've kind of just making sure that once there's a big chunk of information that I can digest and then give my opinions and provide like I typically do for my commentary. That's when I have done updates for them. And I was keeping up with it there for a while and just doing a couple of different topics at a time. But a lot has gone on in the last couple of months. I'd say about the last month and a half, since a lot of information has been talked about and brought up about them. And I want to put that all together and provide my commentary on it, because my perspective is different from their perspectives just due to where we're coming from. Like, Josh is an adoptive father, so he's very passionate from that standpoint. Britt and Sloan have talked about why they're passionate about it, and I have talked about why I'm passionate about it. And we're all coming from a different perspective as far as our passion towards making sure people don't forget about this stuff. Yeah, I do too. I think that's what everybody's goal is, Amber. And that sounds bad because, like, I understand this has been their way of living, but they have the ability to, like, James can have a very lucrative and successful career outside of social media. You saw Britt did something today. I haven't been on social media. I've chatted with Britt, but not through YouTube. Night Claire. Oh, the color is just going to be black. And for the first couple of days, it has a hint of like a purple blue like a purple blue hue, but it washes out in a couple of days. Usually once it hits winter time, I typically will dye my hair black. Maybe you can do a video on adoption requirements, because I've wondered why people need so much money in their bank account in order to adopt, things like that. So I could do a video about adoptions. It's just going to be very specific based off of states, like where you're at and what, because there's so many different avenues, and that's really the hard thing about discussing. Hey Google, stop. My timer's going off. Hey Google, stop. So Della, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've kind of always, since I have started my channel, I've always kind of wanted to provide some kind of like educational videos about like the welfare system and how things operate and things like that, to try and get the stigma off of it. However, some of it's warranted, I understand, but a large part of the stigma is just misinformation and people not really knowing. So I've thought about that. The only issue is it's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for every state. It's going to be different for every country. So I don't know if people would want to really know what information, what knowledge I have, because it's not going to fully translate. But I've thought about stuff like that, and it's probably one that would be best in like an open discussion. That way everybody could provide it, or maybe I can look into a way to talk about those things in a general way. Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I had it in me to foster. I don't know if I do. There's different reasons why people go overseas or want to adopt from overseas. I mean, and it's all going to be depending on that person and that family and what they're looking for, and the stoffer situation. Like, obviously, there's been plenty of holes poked into why they went overseas. Some people prefer, from what I have been told in the profession, is it can be easier to adopt a child from overseas at times. Like, if you're denied here in the States, it doesn't mean you're going to be denied from an overseas agency. Sometimes people adopt from overseas for the thought of giving a better, like an American dream, so to speak, for somebody who's not in our country. Some people do that. Could we judge them and say that maybe they were doing it as a savior complex? We could, but unless we know those people who are making that choice, we really can't judge them, unless it's the stoffers who want to put their whole lives online and use a child for monetary gain, and then when it runs out or isn't lucrative or whatever excuse they're going to pull next, say he's not a good fit for them, and go through that process, which isn't an easy process. So, hey Jen, I've got a lot of tomorrow. You guys will see, on Mondays, I put up the poll for Wednesday's open discussion. So tomorrow I will have a poll, and you will see a lot of our ones that I said would always be in the mix are probably not going to be there. Maybe one or two will be, just because I've had a lot of people suggest and request that we talk about certain things. But I am going to hold true to the fact that it always has to be what the majority votes for. In time, if we're continuing to put it in and it's continuing to not rate at a high level, I will, like, it ends up never being the winner. I will have a discussion with you if you were the one who suggested that topic, and to see how we need to move forward. And it's not so much that personally, I feel like when I put those polls up, and you guys can provide me feedback on this, because this is just me guessing, because I really don't know. When I put the polls up, I'm guessing or assuming that people are selecting one that they either want more education on or they want to provide their own experiences with. And if that's the case, then I always want to allow you guys to have the platform as well to talk about things, to get it out there, to reduce the barriers, to reduce the stigmas, to get resources if you don't know resources exist. So there will be quite a few. So I don't know if it'll make it on this next one, Della, but I can add it to my list of ones that I need to include. And if there's enough room, I will include it. But there's probably going to be 4 or 5 to pick from tomorrow. And then if you are newer to my channel or you aren't sure how the polling works, is it will stay open until I go live on Wednesday. I check to see which one wins like an hour before. And if they're 2 close ones, I prepare for both. So the voting can change up until the last minute. All right. With that being said, does anybody have any questions for me tonight or anything specific you want to tell me? Because I am going to get off here. I have to rinse this out. I appreciate you all coming in. I know this wasn't scheduled. It was more me. I really just felt bad and I had some time, so I wanted to come on here and spend it with you guys. It was good to see you too, Lisa. I hope you all have had a good weekend. And we're all going into the work week tomorrow, or at least most of us. So we will see how it goes. This was my first weekend with my change schedule, and it was different. It was hard for me to go through 3 days off. Like, it felt really weird today. Oh, thank you, Della. She's always pushing people to like the video. Eddie, if you do a live adoption, please let me know when. I mean, if people are interested in me doing a live just on the topic of adoption or child welfare in general, I do have a good amount of knowledge on adoption. It is not as vast as some other areas, but I have knowledge from, most of you guys know, a personal and professional experiences. Professional is a little bit more limited, I'm not going to lie. When I was working in child welfare, I was not always included in the adoption side, but I do know basics and I do know some specifics. It's just people don't understand that sector is so situational. It really is. It's situational on if they're going through foster care, if they're not foster parents, but they're trying to adopt through the state, if they've gotten approved by the state, if they're doing it through private adoption. Private adoption is a huge kind of like gray area in general. So the information I have on that is just what I know from when I have worked. It's very easily changed, and states again affect that. So, but I will, if there's a slot for tomorrow's poll, I will include adoption or child welfare or something to indicate that area. And if there's not, it'll go on next week's. And it's always up to you guys on what topic we end up talking about for that week. You were adopted privately? You adopted a neighbor's kid who's being abused. That is wonderful. That's a wonderful gesture. Coming from somebody who's adopted, those are situations that I have to be prepared for. Like some people I know, when we talk about certain topics, they either don't want to be there because it's too sensitive or too triggering for them. Talking about adoption and abuse and neglect of children, whenever I'm talking about it, I want to be open with you guys. I want to be able to provide you guys my story. Even though I have filmed it, I don't expect people to go back and watch those videos. Those videos are months old, and I don't expect people to. I'm fine with retelling it, but it's a thing that I want to be in the right state of mind to be able to talk about with you guys without getting like super emotional. But legally it was shady. I think a lot of, and this could be me projecting, but from what I have observed and heard, a lot of private adoptions tend to seem that way. And I'm not saying that they are, but it kind of comes off shady. I mean, look at the Stoffers. Although we know they had ulterior motives, they didn't do it illegally. That person, I'm pretty sure, is a troll. I'm surprised they retracted their comment. But I will make sure I add adoption in that sector into the list that I have tonight. That way, if it doesn't fit on the list for tomorrow, keep an eye out for the following Monday to vote on it then, if that's something you guys want to talk about. So, with all of that being said, if anybody has ideas or they didn't feel, oh, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't. Those kind of comments don't bother me at all. So, if you have any comments and you're never comfortable leaving them on here, you're always welcome to DM me on Twitter or on Instagram. My handles are on there are Amanda Pants Does Life, I believe. I've had a few people do that because they don't feel fully comfortable in the time to mention it in the chat, and that's okay. I'm not expecting everybody to be willing to put out all of their business. Yeah, and if I'm not ever okay to talk about something, I would inform you guys. I'm not going to force myself to talk about anything. I would be okay. I would just need to like make sure prior to like, okay, I'm going to talk about this just to make sure that I don't get super choked up. Because there's parts when you go through anything traumatic, we're all human. We all go through something traumatic at some point in our lives. When you start talking about it to an extent, you start reliving it. And oftentimes when I get emotional, it's not even about the bad things, it's about the really good things that have happened. So when I talk about my adoption and I start talking about my parents, especially since I'm not with my parents now and I haven't seen them, this is the longest I have ever gone without seeing my parents since I was adopted. In 20 years, this is the longest I've gone without seeing my mom or my dad. So that is what makes me upset, because obviously they're my parents. I cherish them. They were the ones who allowed me to live and get to the point that I am today. So even in talking about it like this, it's slightly emotional. I'm not going to cry about it, but if I don't prepare to know that I'm going to be talking about areas like that, it is likely that I will end up crying. And I don't want to cry because it's not really, although it's human and I know it's going to happen, it's not really productive to what we're talking about in a sense, because if I'm facilitating it and I'm sitting here crying my eyes out, being a blubbering mess. I can see it very easily just kind of falling apart. So, oh no, it's not a tough subject for me. I have talked about it all the time and it's brought up quite often. But if it's going to be the focus, the open discussions are where we are, if you're willing to, where we're kind of vulnerable with each other to help each other talk through it and work through it and educate others. So I'm sure I will provide my own experiences doing that. So, but with that being said, I don't want to lose my hair, so I do have to get off of here and rinse this out. I'm 5 minutes over the washout time. So, just keep in mind, if you guys ever want to give a suggestion, whether it be for a pre-recorded video or a topic for the live discussions, if you don't feel comfortable commenting it on a video or in the live chat, just reach out to me. I'm going to respond to you. It may take a little bit of time, like a day, but I do always respond to you guys. So with that being said, I hope you guys all have a good evening, day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you in a couple of days. Bye, guys.